Today, there's one topic I want to talk about. One thing that I think could help. And yesterday, we had the Montreal Traders Meetup. So it's a meetup we do every month. And just with traders, so trying to meet other traders, trying to talk with people. And I talk a lot about that. And I've seen a lot of you guys in my group or in my people listening to the podcast coming on yesterday to meet us live. That was really interesting for sure. So really good to see people coming live and that people are taking the advice, right? I keep saying all the time, you have to surround yourself with other traders. You have to be willing to meet other people and try to learn from people. Because the people you surround yourself with are the ones that are going to make the biggest impact on you. And they're the ones that are going to help you move forward. I guess that's the big thing here. So yesterday we had that event. But something happened yesterday that were pretty interesting. Some discussion. What's up, John? Nice to see you. Some discussion we had yesterday. And the thing I like about that meetup is that some people are really new, like they're just getting into trading. They don't know how to trade, or they know a little bit, right? You know, when you start to trade, you have such a high confidence and such a low skill level. So a lot of people are at that level right now. They know a little bit how it works, but they're not really ready to trade live because they will make mistake, but they still trade live. And one of the things that came up over and over again is this principle of luck in trading. The principle of you want to be lucky. You want your trade to unfold correctly. You want to be able to make money, right? And in trading, it's really difficult to have like a view with luck because luck comes and go all the time. So you might have a week like I had the past, I think last week, I had a really good profit, only winning trade, and that was it. But the week like this week, I had some more bad trades, some more losing trade. So it's a big difference. And you cannot rely on luck because luck is not like it's not it's not even part of trading. The way you should go about executing things is you should go with your plan and then execute your plan, and that's it. And after a while, this is interesting, we talked about that yesterday. After some point when you have a plan, you've written things down, you kind of become addicted to execution and not to profit. So you don't really care about profit. And this took a lot of time for me, like really a lot of time, like years and years. But at some point, you kind of get addicted and you want to execute your plan correctly. So you feel more happy when you execute your plan correctly compared to making profit. You don't really care about the profit. Yeah, exactly. No luck in Forex. Bad strategy and good strategy. Yeah, for sure. So, so what was I saying? Yeah. So you get addicted to that feeling of doing your plan correctly and putting in the work correctly. While at the beginning it's totally fine, but when you're at the beginning, you have more trouble following your plan because you don't see the benefit of following your plan. After a while, after a few months of trading correctly or making a plan, you become addicted to executing your plan correctly. And the best feeling ever is being able to place a trade, following your plan perfectly, and having things unfold perfectly. And that could mean in loss or could mean in profit. But you've done your things correctly and you feel great. And that's how you build some sort of momentum in trading. When you can do things once, you feel happy, you feel better, and then you keep going over and over again. And it's just the way it works. So you have to understand now that luck is not part of trading. It's not something that you're gonna like feel lucky and make money. I couldn't care less about what my trades open now are gonna do, and I won't even hope about like having profit or having losses. The only thing I care about is, did I follow my plan? Did I act correctly on the strategy I had? Did I really did every single point I have in this book or in this notebook? Did I really follow everything I had to do? Did I really follow the one-page trading plan that I've done? Did I really make sure that I was taking every action, every step? And did I really make sure that I was reviewing my trade every single week? And that's much more rewarding. The fact of feeling like just understanding and feeling you do everything correctly, that's much better than having profit or losses. Because you don't care about the profit and losses. You come to a point where you care more about this idea of doing things correctly and sensibly. So that's a big part here. So there's not much action step to do here, except you guys have to practice and you guys have to put the luck away. So if you're in a trade and you find yourself hoping for the trade to go back down, well, let me just try to be lucky. Let me see if luck is on my side. Well, fine, but it doesn't work that way. And the best person to tell you this, and you guys had this this week as an interview, the interview with Moritz Chubarinsky. Okay, so he said he started by being a poker player. That's one thing. That's great. Okay, but you could ask him, well, you have to be lucky to win in poker, and he's gonna tell you, no, you don't have to be lucky. Same as in trading. The only thing you have to do is to have a plan, to know that you have an edge, and then you execute on that. But you don't need to have luck. And when people say, well, I was lucky, I was in a big trade and I made tons of money, well, fine, but did you really act on your plan? And is it really something you're going to be able to replicate over time? Is it really something you're going to be able to live with? And the answer is probably no, right? So it's really important for you to put luck aside. And when you're in a trade, as I said, and you want to have luck, maybe you didn't do things correctly. Maybe you skipped a step, or maybe you've taken a trade that you shouldn't take. Okay, maybe that's a big problem here. So you need to be careful with this. And when you feel that you want to be lucky, or that you want the market to act a certain way, then it's where you can identify this, right? The first step is always identify. Identify what you feel. And we'll come back to this all the time. But it's always about that. And if you can identify that you feel that way because you want to be lucky or you didn't prepare enough, then take an action step. Take something to either correct a mistake or to do something different, to make a plan or do things differently. So that's the big takeaway for today. But if you guys have any question, let me know. I'll just check this out on YouTube quickly. See if there's any question. I'll have to put this right here. So I see there might be like one question, but I don't see the question on YouTube, which is interesting. So if you guys have any question, as always, comment below. It's going to be my pleasure to answer. And yeah, good. Alright, so this is still live on YouTube. Sounds really good. So if you guys have any question, comment. And if not, I'll just check on Facebook quickly here in the comment. I don't see much. But as always, I just want to remind this is going to be on YouTube. It's going to be it's on Facebook right now, and it's also going to be turning a podcast next week. So Mondays we have the interview, Thursdays we have the Q&A, or like the podcast Q&A, and then we do the live Q&A here on video on Fridays. So that's the easy way to see everything I'm doing basically, and I'm doing videos in between also. So yeah. And this week was a pretty nice week of trading. We had some big move for sure with the FOMC, but the idea is that you always want to follow your plan. And even this is a good point. Some people feel like they see a news, so they have to trade it, right? They see there's an event, so they have to go against their plan and trade. Well, my view of trading right now, my view of doing things, is I'd much rather execute on my plan during the news. Because the news oftentimes are going to help you create setup. They're often going to help you out to create good setup. So I know my strategy is really good with news. I can create it in the news. And we had a perfect example this week with the FOMC. You guys could check out the YouTube channel and you'll see the trade video I did this week earlier. And you'll see pretty much everything that I talked about. So sometimes it's allowing you to re-enter the market. Sometimes it's allowing you to do things differently or to take more trades, but it's really helpful. But if you go with a different mindset, with a different perspective of, well, there's news coming up, let me find the way to make money. Well, it's good, but did you really test it before? Do you know that this is a good way to make money? And sometimes the answer is going to be no, right? You don't know that this is the best way to make money. So I think you're much better respecting your plan when you want to trade the news. And if it doesn't work, fine. Like this is the goal is not to trade all the time. The goal is to have an edge, and never forget this, right? The goal is not to trade every single day. The goal is only to trade when you have the edge and when you can make money, and you know based on the stats that you can make money. That's a big point here. And let me just answer a question here, Armadeep. Do you trade spot or FX futures? FX futures, I think, are well. Let me know if you're talking about a currency ETF or not. But there's many ways to trade forex or trade currencies per se. And what I do is I trade forex, I trade currency pairs, but other people want to trade the futures, so they might take a trade, let's say long US dollar or long Canadian dollar. That's one thing, right? It's possible to do this. It's just a different way. But for me, it's really spot forex. So whenever you trade currency pairs, that's usually when you trade spot forex. Uh, yeah, and this is a really good point, Armadeep. News trading is unreliable, very unreliable. Well, yes, it's unreliable. Well, why? Because there's a lot of people who placed a trade before, and here's the problem. I was hearing this even yesterday. People talking about news trading. They say, well, you have like everything. You go in Forex Factory, you see everything. You see what's going to be the news, what time's going to be published at, what are the expectation, what was the past result, what is this time's result, and you can base your decision on this. And I say, well, this is, yeah, sure. You can know how people are, like, you're able to know what are the expectation, what is supposed to happen, is it good or bad. But here's the point. Can you really be able to predict how people are going to react, how people are going to place their trade? Is it going to be one person entering the market strongly? Is it going to be people just staying aside? You never know, right? Because you don't know how people think. And sometimes you'll see a good news and a stock or a pair coming down. Sometimes you're going to see a bad news and a stock or a pair going up, right? There's no correlation. And that's why it's really important for you to not base yourself on the news specifically, but what you see in the chart. Price action, right? Price action. It's always going to be the easiest way to know what the market's doing. The news or the predictions or the actual result are not telling you where it's going to go. They're telling you what is the data. But from there, you have to figure out, well, what does that mean? And what are the traders or investors or whoever is in the market doing at this point? Do you watch Forex option and futures also before placing a trade in Forex? No, not really. I don't like to complicate things. And my view is that if you can find a good technical setup on Forex spot, there's no reason to go and confirm it everywhere, right? It's not necessary because you know it's probably going to work here. And I'm fine, like, even if you would have a higher winning rate, let's say, by watching everything there is. To me, it's just going to confuse me too much. It's just going to make things too hard and too difficult for me to trade. So I prefer to keep it simple, and I'll only trade spot Forex. And that's like the easiest way. Because the more complex it is, the more stress you feel, and the tougher it is to really account for everything. And you might skip a step, then you feel bad, and it's really a different game. But the simpler you get, the easier it is. But I would encourage you though, if you want to be able to, if you want to see if it works, well, test it out, right? Is your profit really higher when you look at other factors? If not, well, forget the factors. If it's just like this higher, okay, let's just make sure it's on every camera. Is it this higher, like a small piece higher, and you have to look at 1,000 different steps? Is it really worth it, right? Is it really necessary to do it? And oftentimes the answer is going to be no. You don't have to watch everything. But if you get a huge difference in your profit, or a huge difference in your return, or your win rate, well, then go ahead and try it, right? Implement it, because that's going to help you out. But you can never like eliminate every losing trade. So that's why. Which time frame do you use? That's interesting, because I do multi-time frame. So people often, they try to rely on one time frame. I find it's good, right? There's no problem trading the daily chart, but you're gonna have trouble sometimes putting your stop loss and take profit, or you're gonna have trouble finding a good reward to risk. Because if you have a range on a daily chart and you wait, let's say, for an engulfing pattern, like, or whatever, a pin bar, well, it's gonna be big sometimes, and you have to put your take profit in consequence. So sometimes entering on a daily chart is really difficult to get a good reward to risk. While if I'm going to go and look at the 1 hour chart and I see the same setup at the same zone, well, why wouldn't I enter that way, right? So I trade multi-time frame. So I would trade based on the daily chart, for example, and then I go lower. So is there a good setup I can trade on the 4 hour? Is there something I can trade on the 1 hour? Is there something I can trade on the 30-minute chart? And then I look for trades like this. But the key here, and this is where like everyone's gonna fall short. Everyone who's doing multi-time frame, well, not everyone, well, most people are gonna fall short. They're gonna say, okay, so I'll trade multi-time frame. Let me look at every single chart. Let me look at every time frame. I want to place a trade. I want to be able to enter right now. That's what people are gonna do. But the key with multi-time frame is that you want to be looking for your trades at the zones on the higher time frame. So on the daily chart, on the weekly chart, right? This is where you want to trade, but not like multi-time frame doesn't mean you trade all the time on any time frame, anytime you see a setup, because that's going to be too stressful. That's really too difficult, right? So I look at the zones, then I go on smaller time frame to trade, and I try to not be at my desk too often. So I would say I don't go lower than the 1 hour chart these days. If I can, well, fine, I'll go. But if not, I won't go lower than that. I prefer to stick on the 1 hour chart. It's easy to watch. It's pretty simple, and it doesn't take much time. So that's pretty much my take at this point. But it might change, right? For sure. And I do have some other strategies on lower time frame, like trading the Asian session, which is my favorite. So it might depend on that. But usually it's gonna be daily chart for zones, 4 hour to 1 hour for the trades. Usually that's gonna be it, and 5 minute chart for day trading strategies. I have technical analysis also fail. Trendline support. Yeah. The question here is, how do you know that technical analysis is gonna work? How do you know that a trend line is gonna hold? And trend lines, I don't really like them. Why? Because they're really subjective. They're not like, it's not like a level of support that is clear or like a range that is clear. So the things you have to look at whenever you trade like trend lines or even support resistance is this level respected? Is it clear? If it's not clear, like if you have to spend an hour looking at your chart to figure out what is the trend line or what is the trend or like whatever, it's not a good pair to trade. It's not a good place to trade right now because it's not clear. When it's clear, then you can really look at trades. But if not, just skip it, right? And the second thing then is, how is price reacting? Let's say we're in a trend and price is starting to, like, price is going up in an uptrend, and then it's kind of like you see it dying, right? The distance between the lows is much shorter, it's much closer. While you know that probably it's going to reverse, right? Probably you're going to have some sign. And the other thing you can look at, of course, the size of candlestick, but the other thing you can look at are indicators. Is the RSI like decreasing, or is the Bollinger Band, like, is price breaking out the Bollinger Band and coming back down, right? So you want to combine everything, but the answer to this is not simple, right? It's looking at many factors. So you look at price action, price structure, and whether it's really clear or not. But technical analysis doesn't fail so often. It's just how you interpret it that might fail. Or maybe you didn't look at enough setup, right? You look at the chart, you see a losing setup, and you say, oh, it's failing all the time, right? I don't want to trade this. It's bad. Technical analysis is bad. But did you really took the time to look at many charts? Or did you really took the time to look at different ways or different setups, right? That's a big key here. Do you watch equities market? Not really, no. I think, and this is a good conversation I had even yesterday with a podcast guest. Whenever you're gonna, what did I want to say? Yeah, whenever you're gonna trade one market and you kind of become the expert at it, right? You become good at trading different markets. You could switch to many markets. You could like expand to everything and trade equities, trade futures, trade Forex, options, whatever. You could do that, but is the trade-off of trading all those things, going on a different market, is it really worth it? And oftentimes the answer is going to be no. Some people believe that it's much better to be an expert at one thing, instead of being like just average trader at many things. So that's why it's good sometimes to to uh to focus on one currency pair or even one market, right? And just trade this or one time frame, because you become the expert at that. But going on too many things, it's just more difficult, and it takes a lot more time. And I don't think I would be able to trade everything, like futures, equities, forex, while doing the podcast and while doing like all the blogs and everything. That and the academy, like that takes a lot of time too. So I wouldn't be able to do everything for that. So that's why I want to focus on one thing and trade only that thing. Do you have some Forex WhatsApp group? No, I don't have any group for setup for trade setup. But the best way here, if you really want to learn, is to check out the academy, the This Art to Trade Academy, and we have a nice offer now for the holidays. So if you want to get in, it's totally good. But you should check it out. Just go on thisarttotrade.com, go on the link where it's written Academy, the tab written Academy, and you'll see pretty much everything there. Source you follow for news. Well, not much, because I don't like to trade the news. Right? I don't use news as decision to trade. So the only thing I look at is Forex Factory to know when the news is gonna come out, and just to know the timing. I don't want to try to predict what's gonna do. I don't want to predict what the move is gonna be. Right? That's not useful. I just want to know what time it's gonna be at, and what can I do with this. Right? If I see there's news coming in 5 minutes, well, is it really worth it to enter the trade now? Or could I wait just 5 minutes to see how it unfolds? Or do I need to put my stop loss wider? Or do I need to move a stop loss to break even? This is the only reason why I look at the news. So yeah, only Forex Factory, and that's the easiest way to go with this. And it's even free, so you don't have to pay anything for that. Good. So I see we had a couple of questions today. That's pretty good. I do want to thank people watching this on YouTube. It's really awesome to have you here. And we do those Q&As every Friday, as I said. Every Friday, I come here and do the Q&A. If you guys have any question, you can go ahead. And I try to answer them pretty much on the spot. I'll try to talk about different topics as well. So if you guys have any topic you want me to cover, let me know. And this is going to be turned into a podcast, as I said, so you can check it out. The This Art to Trade podcast. If you guys are on YouTube and want to join the Facebook group, go on thisarttotrade.com/group, and you'll see everything there. You'll be able to join the group for free. So guys, on that note, I'll leave you here, and I'll see you next week for the Q&A. And we have a great podcast, a great holiday special coming next Monday on the podcast. That's going to be an awesome one with probably one of my favorite traders so far. So you guys are going to love it. Ciao.